Hello, fifth graders. Today I want to talk to you about what to do when we encounter fractions in algebra. Up till now, we've had whole numbers, so things like 4n plus 2, or 3n plus 2, or 8n plus 2, but there's always been a whole number in front of the n. Today we're going to talk about what we do when we have a fraction in front of the n, and we'll talk about it here, and you'll recognize that what we've got here is still the same set of rules. We have not changed the rules of algebra. We still have the three steps. We still have collecting. We still have isolating. We still have getting to just one n. The difference is we're going to change the way we get to just one n just a little bit. And that's because right now I have a number in 1/8 that is actually smaller than 1. I want to get it up to 1 because 1/8 is smaller than 1. I want to turn it into 1 so that I can just get rid of it. Now if this were just 8n instead of 1/8 n, I would divide. You remember that. If I had was for 8n, I would divide by 8 to make it 8/8 or 1, and it would go away. I don't have that now. Instead, I have a fraction, and fractions need to be gotten rid of in a slightly different way. So let's talk about it. Let's go through our first step. Our first steps, though. So the first step is still collecting, and in this case, I don't have anything to collect. There's nothing there. Because there's nothing there, I don't have anything to isolate either. So we can really focus our time on step 3, which is just 1n. Now, I'm going to show you what it is that I'm going to have you do, and then I'll explain why it works. So what we have here is we have our fraction, 1/8 n equals 7, and that is, we need to get rid of this. Well, how do we get rid of a fraction? Well, if you remember correctly, fractions are really just division. So if we want to get rid of division, then we need to multiply. So in this case, I'm going to multiply by the denominator. And let me kind of explain why. My arrow came up a little early, but it's there. Here's why this works. Here's my 1/8, right? If I have 1/8 and I multiply it like 8, just what I've got right here, if I do 8 times 1/8, that's the same thing as 8 over 1 times 1 over 8, because 8 over 8 can be turned into 8 over 1. That's just 8 wholes is what that is. And when I multiply fractions, we actually just multiply straight across. So 8 times 1 is 8, and 1 times 8 is 8, and that gives me 8/8. And if you think about it, if we started with 8, we would have divided by 8 to get 8/8. So in this case, we're starting with 1/8, so we multiply 8 by 8 to get to 8/8. So we're just doing it in the opposite direction. Before we were multiplying, so we multiplying first, so we divided second. Now we're dividing first, so we multiply second. And that's what we're going to do. Regardless, whatever we do to one side, in this case multiply, we need to do to the other side. So the reason I put the parentheses around the outside is to show that this is multiplying. Because if you remember our notation, 8 parentheses 1/8 n means 8 times 1/8 n. And then on the other side, I need to also multiply by 8, so 7 times 8. So these two are going to cancel because this is going to turn into 8/8 n. 8/8 is just 1, and since step 3 is just 1n, I've done what I need to do. I've got just 1n. And 7 times 8 is 56. So that gives me my final answer of n equals 56. All right, let's try another example. I'm going to put it up on the screen, and I want you again to pause and try it on your own. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's okay. That's how you're going to learn. Try what you can. Get it wrong. Get it right, whatever it is, get your answer, and then unpause the video and see how you did, and then check to see if you got it close or not. That's how you're going to get better at this. All right, so remember, though, that instead of dividing, when we were dealing with a fraction, we're actually multiplying now. So before we were dividing, now we're multiplying. The steps stay the same. It's just we're going to change the way we do step 3 in order to get the answer. All right, let's try another one. The problem is 1/3 n plus 3 plus 5 equals 29. All right, again, I want you to pause the video and try to solve it on your own. Great. Hopefully you paused, hopefully you gave it a try, and now you're ready to see whether what you did was correct. All right, let's go through the steps. This time I do have some collecting because I have 3 plus 5. 3 plus 5 gives me 8, so 1/3 n plus 8 equals 29. Now I'm going to need to isolate, so we're going to take away 8 from both sides. 8 minus 8 is 0, 29 minus 8 is 21. Now I'm left with 1/3 n equals 21. So I want to get to just one n. So we're thinking back to the last time we did this. We're going to take this and we're going to multiply. Sorry, my cursor's not showing up. Here we go. We're going to multiply this side by the denominator in this fraction. So we're going to multiply this by 3. We're going to multiply this by 3. Here we go. 3 times 1/3 n equals 21 times 3. The 3 and 1/3, 3 times 1/3, this is going to become 3 over 3, which is going to become 1, just 1 n. This is going to become 63. There's our answer. All right, we're going to try one more example. And again, I want you to try it and pause before we go through it. All right, here's your problem. 1/7 n minus 6 plus 2 equals 4. Pay attention to negatives this time. All right, go ahead and pause it. Great, now you should be finished. So let's look and see whether you got it right. So collecting this time, we have minus 6 plus 2. Minus 6 plus 2, starting at negative 6, adding 2 gets me to negative 4. I'm getting 2 closer to 0. So my first, after step 1, I have 1/7 n minus 4 equals 4. Now I'm going to isolate, so I'm going to get rid of the negative 4 by adding 4. I want to get it up to 0. 4 plus 4 is 8. So now I have 1/7 n equals 8. Moving on to step 3, I'm going to multiply both sides by 7 because the denominator of my fraction is 7. So 7/7 becomes 1. 8 times 7 becomes 56. All right. You have enough now to go ahead and try the examples. Informative. Remember to go slowly, write your answers down, or write your work down so that you can check it and find any mistakes that you might make. Good luck.